All right. Today we are going to be preparing an Adventurers League game. One of the groups that I play in as a player, because I like to see what it feels like from the other side too, so that I can be a better game master. But one of the groups asked me to run an Adventurers League game to give the DM a little bit of a break next week. So because in my real life game we are going to be starting Out of the Abyss soon, I thought that running the Rage of Demons Adventurers League game as my side game would give me more background and more flavor for what's happening on the surface while our players are in the Underdark. So we're just going to get this all set up. So I'm going to call this Rage of Demons AL. I'm not going to put any tags in it for now. It's definitely 5th edition D&D, because that compendium is helpful. And that's pretty much all you do to start, because I'm not using a module from Roll20. Alright, we'll pick a picture later, I think. For now, we'll just kind of get the settings that I like set up. There we go, D&D. This is going to be next week in the morning. Now I'm a prepper, so I usually like having more lead time than this, but I should be fine. Yes, let's do the map pack in case I can use it. I don't know that I can, but it's always nice to have some pre-made maps in there just in case. I don't think I have anything else to add. So let's do some settings. Game settings. I know this is probably not the most exciting thing, but I didn't know if it would be helpful for people to see the settings that I use, because I think this part is largely ignored by a lot of people. So it's not public. Don't need any of those background images. Actually, let's use the magic one. So magical. Yeah, we'll let people import their characters. Alright. And let's see, that's fine. I don't need to change the map size. My defaults are going to be enabled, dim light reveals, enabled, enforced line of sight, restrict movement. And then I do global illumination depending on the map, because it really depends if it's day or nighttime. But I will also show you guys I have a script that I can use for that as well. Alright. Token defaults, I'll leave that as it is. Yeah. I think those are all good. Not make things have sight, because that slows things down. So that's fine. Save. Now the thing about this is, like, every time you change something, pretty much, you have to save. It's a little annoying. There we go. But it's like by section. So it'll be nice to have the maps pre-done with those things. Alright, compendium is already based on the character sheet, which is good. Default sheet is NPC, because those are the ones I'll be creating. Query advantage, never whisper rolls. Don't auto roll damage, that's all good. By level, yes. I love adding the dex tiebreaker. Turning that on. Because this will just be in chat. It'll show which character is rolling what, which is nice. Alright, compendium compatible, that's all good. Show, I don't need to change any of those. Alright, save. Yep, okay, it did save those changes. Sweet. Alright, now we're going to change our API options. There are certain scripts that I like to have active with my games. So let's get them done. Let's see. Doodle-doo, easy experience. Add that. Even though I don't think we'll really use it for this group because they may be tracking differently. Let's see. Torch, like that one. This is one that allows you to give an individual character a torch so that they can change their sight, or you can also turn the entire map daytime or nighttime. So that's really helpful. All right, what else do we want? This one is nice. I mean, it has a bunch of stuff I don't really use, but it has this long rest character name, which resets spell slots, and sometimes that's helpful. And then usually I'll use It's a Trap as well, but for these little Adventurers League games, I probably won't use that one. I wonder what Inspiration Tracker does. Oh. Gives them a reminder. That's actually helpful. So let's do that too. Yay. Okay, so we've got a few little scripts. This one lets me assign XP to the group and split it automatically. That one, like I said, lets me change some light settings. This one has a couple of helpful options. For this one, we'll probably only use long rest. Inspiration Tracker will give them a visual reminder that they have inspiration. I think all of those are good. So we'll go back. And we'll get started. Yay! Alright, so the first thing that I'm going to do is just change some of my settings to get stuff out of the way. So I'll switch my avatar down. And I'll turn off my video and audio, just to make things a little cleaner, because we'll not be using it anyway. This group uses Discord, which I think is pretty standard for a lot of groups. I'll do that so that it's obvious I am the DM, although in chat it'll show GM next to everything I type. So that's all good. We'll have to change some of the XP settings, but we'll do that a little bit later, because that takes a little bit of time for the API scripts. Alright, I'm going to zoom out here. We'll have to make a default picture. So this is Harried in Hillsfar, which means most of it takes place in kind of this countryside sort of area with farms and such. So let's see what we can see. We'll do portraits, farmland. That looks like a good one. It's even on a little hill to make it work out. All right. Got some good flavor here. All right, that's gonna be perfect. So I'll go ahead and take that, put it on the map layer, and then in the settings, I will turn off the grid because we don't need it for this one. So what I always do is I keep one page as a default page where I pull things up that I want them to see, but is otherwise just something pretty to look at while we're not doing anything. So that's my start page. And then obviously we have all the random maps we loaded. Yay! And we'll make new ones and place them as needed as we get into the adventure. So the first thing that I like to do is create appropriate folders for what I'll be doing. So I'll do introduction. Alright, then I'm just going to check my adventure. I know that I am doing the short introduction hook for this group. So I'm going to go ahead and add a handout. That's how I keep my notes. And I'll say adventure, hook, and introduction. Yes. Alright, so in the GM notes, because I don't make this part visible, I will just put in the information about their faction intro, and I'm just copying and pasting from the AL document at this point. We're not doing anything fancy. And let's see, I'm going to look at this. I'm going to use the long intro instead. Okay, so I'm just going to space this out since this one, if I made it public, could be player facing. And I think I'm going to make a separate handout for the players that is actually the Madman's words. So in this introduction, like every Adventurers League thing, their faction sends them to check something out. So in this case, their faction tells them to go to the Hillsfire area to hang out and see if they notice anything weird, to help other factions that are also investigating and cooperate as much as possible. Basically forces them to work as a group without having much background that links them together. And so that makes it really easy for DMs running Adventurers League because it's sometimes different players. It's not the same every week. And then in this case, those players, once they're traveling in that area, they are heading towards a rumor that the non-human residents of Hillsfire have all been kicked out or forced to fight to the death in the arena. And on their way there, they find a crazy old man, all bloody and weird, who starts yelling about things. And he is going to be yelling a string of repeated phrases. So that's what we're going to do next. So I'm going to put that adventure hook and intro here. I'm going to add a handout. And if it's going to the players, I always put handout right at the beginning. Madman's words. All right. So new master, question mark. Far O Farms. Must be. Beets? Good root, perhaps? The spring of blessed life. Rumored to be haunted. Roads. Undead. A temple of Joaquin. Question mark. Definitely not Timora. Alright. And then I'm just going to put a note that these words remind you of locations you have heard about in the area. Farbo Farms, in particular, you know, is not far up the road. And that's just a note for something I can say to get them started on evaluating these clues. Alright, so we'll put that there. Alright, so now we have a little bit of intro. So I'm going to close that. I definitely like having music for each of my stuff. Let me actually go back. I think I should number that. So I'll call this one, rename folder, 0 intro and hook. I'm going to call it introduction. That's fine. And that way, over here, I can add a folder for 0 introduction and keep them in order. Let's see. They are in a pretty happy sort of idyllic area. Sorry, that was my phone, guys. Rengu forgot his banana today. Let's see. So just so you know what that sounds like, here you go. So that's what they'll hear as I start giving the introduction. And then when a crazy old man runs at them, we should probably switch it up, I think. So let's look at all the tracks and see if we can't find one that's kind of crazy. What's this one? No, it's too rainy. Let's see. Doodle-doo. There's so many good ones in this one. And I do know some of them just from having used tabletop audio so much. If you guys don't use tabletop audio, you should. And you should definitely check him out on Patreon if you do use him. Support what he's doing. It's too horror-y. It's just a crazy dude. Yeah, a little bit too much. Asylum is too much. I mean, it's not really an attack. Maybe I'll just keep it with what I have. I love skirmish for combat. I'm just going to add that one in as a general one so I have it available. No, too caverny. Weirder Things. That's the tribute to Stranger Things. That might work. It'll be a little 80s-y once it gets started, though. Yeah, a little too punchy. Ethereal Plane might work. Put it there for now. Spire is a bunch they did for a really specific game, but I like using them a lot because there's a lot of good stuff in there. Alright, let's see. What does that one sound like? A little too horror. I'd use that in Cthulhu for sure. Let's see. A little bit too specific areas. Alright, so we'll use Ethereal Plane as kind of our cut too. Yeah, I think that'll work for our intro. Alright. Now we're on to the first mission. So, find out. Mission 1. I'll just call it 1. Birth. Alright, again, player-facing description I'll put up front. The madman's words spoke of Farbo Farms. Alright, so this is what they see as they approach the farm. And, I mean, this is basically what I do for these parts. I'm going to be looking through and seeing what they're getting to. They end up going into the farmhouse, which is nice. Let me add a folder. 1. The birth. Stick that down here. Save that for now. Close these for now. Alright, and so I just kind of stick them in here. And so each new area that they go in, I'll make a new handout, basically. The farmhouse. Save. And I know those all go together in the same location. But for now, I want to look for an area where there's a map. Okay, so it looks like there are some screams. There's a goat having a baby. But the goat looks weird and different. Alright, so that one's mostly just investigation. Okay, so no real maps needed for that one. Oh, until there are demon goats. Alright, so there's a barn that they come out of. Okay, so the scene looks much as you left it. That is until a scream erupts from the goat barn. 2 red-furred goats chase him. Okay. Sure. It says it's inside the barnyard. Well, okay, the barnyard. That's fair enough. I don't have any that'll work well for that. So, we will see if we can make one. New maps always get put at the end. So I'll call this barnyard. And the first thing I always check, I'll go to Maps, Tiles, and Textures and see if there's a map for it. Because that's pretty generic. But it looks like it's not going to have very much luck. Or my connection is really bad. So let's try barn. See if that gives us something better. There we go. Oh hey, I have one in my free assets. So that one is totally usable as long as I put something down first. So I know I have barn, so I'll put field. That's premium assets. That's stuff that won't work. Okay, so let's just try grass. Yay, grass. We'll do some splotchy grass since animals are on it and stuff. That one looks good. Alright. So, I mean, this is just some basic tiling. It's not that exciting. But, well, it looks like it's 4x4. Put some grass in. Should have done it by 5s. That's fine. Make that one like that. We'll keep it small. We'll just overlap one. Paste. Put that one in there. Can we move it over? Well, let us know. That's fine. It can overlap there. That looks pretty good. Grab some of these. Put them down here. those down there. And again, this looks a little tedious, but having a background that's not just a random gray checkboxes is very helpful in making it look a little bit better. And you always want more area than you think, because, grab these, the fight, especially characters are playing a little bit more tactically, they don't just run into the barn and stay there. Sometimes they run out to get cover or to draw the enemy out into the open. And so you definitely want to have enough space around the barn for them to do that. Take those out for now. Put this guy down there. Oh, that's fine. Okay. So now we've got all these, so we're going to select everything and move them to the map layer, so now they're under the grid. And that takes care of some of the seams and stuff too. It doesn't look as obvious. Then we'll go back over here. We'll get that barn. That sounds awesome. And I really want to make sure that that's big enough. Remember, each square is 5 feet, so we want to have it in such a way so that the door is at least 5, but it should probably be 10 because it's a barn. Let's see. Close. Make it a little bigger. That looks right about perfect. Because if I put that on the map layer, it gives them some room to work. I might actually make that a little bit bigger, so I'm just going to head to my map layer. Actually, let's see. No, those horses are about the right size if I leave it alone. But I think I'm going to move it so it's a little bit more central, so they have some room behind it and everything too. I think that looks delightful. All right, go to my dynamic lighting layer. And again, I use blue for walls and orange for doors. And it looks like there's a door in the back. Has these little dips that could be windows, so I'm just going to go with it because that's going to give our ranged guys something to work with. Oh, that looks like it's actually a window. So we'll go ahead and close these up then. Actually, here. Bloop, 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 bloop. Oh, I don't like that one. It's too crooky. There we go. Alright, cool. So we'll leave that one open as a window. That way if they sneak around the side and they're like, what do I see? They have something. That's a door, so we'll fill it in later. Okay. Got this wall. I want to make sure that goes all the way down so it connects. Good. Got these little guys. Good. And I'm not going to put any blockers where the stalls are, just because I think those would be low enough for them to see over if they needed to. And then I always do a little bit of overlap so it's easier to grab. There you go. Door. Alright, perfect. So, yeah, I think that's a good size. Now we have dynamic lighting in there, so it makes it easy. Alright, so go back to my selector, go back to objects and tokens. And here we have our barnyard. I think that looks delightful. The only problem is we have some bad guys, so we have some goats. And, well, demon goats, really. But let's see what we can to use. Oh, there's a lovely chimera. We can use that for a demon goat if we need to. I'm surprised. Am I still looking? Oh, I'm still looking at portraits. So let's look at tokens. Got some regular goats. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and use this guy. I'm going to skinny him down. Okay. In Roll20, you have to hold Alt if you want to resize something outside of the grid. Alright, so I've got regular goat, and I'll make them stats here in a second. And then we'll use, let's see, what does it say about the demon goats? A two-headed goat. Yeah, so chimera will work. It'll get the picture across. It's grown to the size of a horse. So, yeah. Okay, so there's some regular sized goats that happen to be red. So let's go ahead and tint them. And then a giant two-headed goat. Let's see if there's anything. Doesn't look like it. That'll work for that. Those are all premium assets. Okay. Sometimes you can find a good two-headed cow because of fallout, which we might be able to use as a goat. That one doesn't work because it's all gross. It's surgeried. There's some random sheep in here when you search for cow, so that's pretty awesome. Alright, let's look for bull instead. Sometimes you gotta get creative. I'm just seeing if there's something I can use besides the chimera that'll get the point across. Again, sheep. There are a lot of bull ones. Maybe I can stick a couple of those together. That might be cool. We'll see what we can do. So we've got this one looking this way. I'm going to put it on the grass so it's easier to see. And we've got this one looking this way. That's pretty cool, but maybe I'll do a little on this a little straighter. Oh, it's still a little curvy. That one doesn't overlap as well as the slightly curvy ones. So yeah, let's do that. Just gonna bloop, stick those together. That looks like a giant two-headed thing with horns. Grab those, and I'm going to group them so that I'm doing all the same stuff to move them around. Yeah, that'll work. Alright, so I'm going to temporarily ungroup them so I can tint them red. 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 Yeah. That looks great. So now I've got this two-headed thing. I've got the goats running out of the yard, so I'm just going to put those up. Let's ungroup them because they're acting weird right now. Put them together, we'll regroup them later. Alright, so got that guy. Then I've got a few of these guys. But I want to get them attached first to their character sheets. Still got some time, so let's go ahead and make some characters. First, I'm going to make a folder. Enemies. Oh, that's a note. Ha ha ha. Just kidding. So, to delete something, right click, delete. Very straightforward. Folder. Enemies. Put that underneath my storyline stuff. Add a character. I'm going to say goat. And we're going to put a little picture of a goat. And we're going to select a goat. So that's all good. Now we have a goat. And in the compendium, is there a goat? Yay! There's a goat. Alright. Query advantage. Good. That's all good. Alright. Things that I want to see. Looks like the rest of them are just goats. Okay. So let me put that there. Show nameplate. First bar is hit points. Not a lot. Second bar is AC. That's just so when you click on it, I know how much health they have and how difficult it is to hit them. And you can actually change their health from here when they take damage. So we have a few goats running out of the barn. We'll add more based on how many characters show up. Okay. And then the giant two-headed goat. Let's see, what is this one? It's the right amount of XP. So I'm going to use the giant goat as my, move that down there, as my template for the two-headed goat, and then I'll make adjustments for how the two-headed goat is different. Character, giant two-headed goat. Alright, you selected token, which is a cow. We won't put a picture on this one for now. Character sheet, compendium, giant goat. Take away our advantage. That looks great. Okay. Yep. Natural armor, so 11. Got to keep that in mind when I do that. Giant two-headed goat. Again. HP. And AC. And it thinks it's 10, but it has natural armor, so it's actually up 1 to 11. And yes, we'll show the name. Giant two-headed goat. Okay, cool. So now I just make sure to move those together so they work. Those guys are good. Alright, and then there's an award, which I will note in my notes. But there's the first map, so that's looking pretty good. All I'll do to prepare is put character tokens in, and that way, when they're ready to have the encounter, all I have to do is move them over. I don't have to drag tokens over and move the active map. So that makes it pretty easy. There you go. Basic map. We've got some grass. We've got a barn that we pulled from the internet instead of building it. We put some dynamic lighting in so that it will block line of sight correctly. We created some bad guys, some demon goats, including a giant one. and we gave them stats and character sheets. And that way, when they're fighting it, you can Alt double click, bring up the character sheet, and everything's ready to go. And you can roll their attacks. There you go. Pretty straightforward. Well, I hope that was interesting and helpful for basic Roll20 setup. If you guys found this interesting, then I'll definitely do it some more or show you some more details. So, leave some comments and let me know what would be helpful to see. And then we can go from there. All right, guys, keep spending that daily rage.